Hello there, and welcome to a tutorial on vector components. Now, the main idea here is that a vector can be written as a sum of a horizontal and a vertical component. And to show that idea here, we have a vector, 8 meters per second, which is velocity, which is 30 degrees east of north. Now, it will make a triangle of a horizontal vector and a vertical vector with an angle in between these two of 60 degrees. Now if we apply our SOHCAHTOA, specifically sine and cos here, the sine is the opposite over the hypotenuse, so we can calculate now for the height or vertical and the length or horizontal, depending on what question you're doing. Now if we plug in our values here, sine of 60 degrees times 8 meters per second, we would get 6.9 meters per second vertically, and cos we would get 4 meters per second horizontally. Now, we'll look at a different question here. Three forces are being applied to a box. 50 Newton force, and in reference to that, a vector, another force, the 35 Newton force right here, which is 75 degrees from this one, and a 15 Newton force, which is 25 or just 20 degrees from this 50 Newton force, and it's acting all on an object this way. Now, we've titled these vectors A, B, and C, and as I've shown here, you can actually split these vectors up into their horizontal and vertical components. And because this is all in reference to C, this is going to be on our vertical axis, so we can just count that. So here our vector C, there is no x, and it is only 50 newtons acting in the y. Now, we can apply SOHCAHTOA rules to both of these. Now, because it's given us these angles, we can make our triangles, and because we know that these are acting down, we know it can be the sum of a vector going down here and then over here. And likewise for your other one, down there and back over in there. Now, because we know this is 75 degrees, and right here we have a 90-degree angle, we can split that up into 15 degrees and 75. And over here, 80 and 70 and 20. Now when we apply our SOHCAHTOA, because we know the magnitude of these, 35 newtons and 15 newtons, we can do our SOHCAHTOA. So right here for the vertical, we're going to do sine 15 degrees times our hypotenuse, 35 newtons. So type that into our calculators. Sine 15 times 35. And that gives us a vertical component of 9.05. Now, I'm just going to, well, actually, no, I won't round. I'll keep 2 digits until the end. Sorry, 3 significant digits. So this was for A. So A's vertical component is 9.05. 9.05. And total horizontal component, cos 15 times 35 is equal to 33.8. And now, because we've defined our directions up here, up being positive and left being positive as well, because this goes down, our vertical is going to have to be a negative here and here. That is the only tricky thing with using components. You do have to remember which is positive and which is negative, which is a little downside when comparing it to addition. Anyways, we'll look at these two components now. So the sine of 70 degrees times 15 newtons, which is 14.09. And the cos of 70 times 15. Alright, and now that one goes to the right, so it is, or sorry, it's towards the right, or left, sorry. So it is negative, and this one is going down, so 2 is negative. Now, if we notice, this will actually make a triangle here, because when we just add these up, we only have horizontal and vertical values, which will give us our sum, or our r, which we will then solve for. Okay, so when we add these up, so 50 plus 14.09 plus 9.05 gives you 73.14 newtons. And this is a negative, so it's going to be acting down. 73.14. And our bottom one is going to be 31.8. Minus 5. Minus 5.13. 26.67. 26.67. So now we know two sides and we know the containing angle, so we can actually find a resultant using Cos law. So that would be c squared equals a squared plus b squared minus 2ab. Cos theta. Okay, so now we can plug our angle in as 90, and the cos of 90 is actually equal to 0, so it's just c squared equals a squared plus b squared. Wow, that's embarrassing. That is Pythagorean's theorem. My bad. So we can just say that a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And when we do that, 73.14 squared plus 26.67 squared is equal to and when we punch in all those numbers, we get 70 r is equal to 77.8 newtons. 85 newtons, sorry. Now, because this is a vector, we do need to actually give it some sort of angle because it is a magnitude and a direction. So we can solve for this using SOHCAHTOA again. We'll use tan theta is equal to opposite over adjacent. doing this, we can say the opposite, 26.67 divided by 73.14 equal to 0.36 and a lot more decimals, and we can inverse tan that to give us 20 degrees. So, and then say therefore the resultant vector from these three is 78, because we're rounding in our answer to two significant digits. Newtons and that is south 20 degrees east. South 20 degrees east. Sorry, that's east 20 degrees of south. And it becomes easier. Anyways, thank you, and I hope this was useful.